Hey guys, so today we are looking at another History March video about Turenne. Last time we saw the Master of Manure video. Today we're looking at Turenne's Masterclass in Strategy, the Battle of Salzbach. So yeah, this could be really cool. Like overall, it was cool to see Turenne's ballsiness in terms of his winter crossing and attack, which ultimately worked out. So, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more, and yeah, really getting a better look at his more strategic prowess. So yeah, I'm pretty excited because of the title, the Masterclass in Strategy. So we're probably gonna be seeing something amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to get into it. So before I do though, if you want to watch the original video by HistoryMarche, the link to this video is down in the description down below. And if you want to help support me and my channel in any way, shape, or form, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help out my small but humble channel grow, and I would appreciate it very much, thank you. Now with that said, and now without any further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Let us watch France crosses the Rhine, Turenne's Masterclass in Strategy, the Battle of Salzbach, 1675.
It is winter 1675, and all of Europe has heard word of the astonishing victory of Turenne at Turkheim, and the destruction of not one but two imperial armies in a single swoop. Every aspect of the story, from the frigid march across snow-capped mountains to the French feint on its right and center.
Alright, yeah, I have to admit, I compared that crossing very favorably to my favorite commander of all time, Hannibal Barca, which, again, we've seen just how devastating winter fights and crossings can be to armies. The fact that he pulled it off is nothing short but, like, really great, and apparently HistoryMarche didn't mention, like, major loss or casualties on his part, so that even makes it even more impressive. But the total destruction of two armies. Yeah, he sent them flying, but if I remember correctly, HistoryMarche said he failed to completely destroy them in a decisive battle, so at least I think that's the wording he used last video, so I thought they were still a threat, but oh well, let's watch the video.
Before the hidden ambush on the left has captivated courts, noble mansions, and common taprooms alike. The coffee houses of London and the Kaiserkellers of Bavaria abound with men reading from the news sheets, while in Versailles King Louis himself regales a ballroom with a letter Turenne wrote him 2 months before the fateful clash, extolling his exact course of action and the uncanny prediction of how the general's opponents Bournonville and the Grand Elector Frederick William would react to his maneuvers. The letter compounds the established opinion that Turenne is a sort of military savant, and his status and popularity now almost equals that of the Sun King himself. When the general returns to France in the very early spring, he is garlanded each step of the way. The inhabitants of every town, village, and municipality come in droves to do him homage.
Dang. His stock is really rising. Hopefully Louis doesn't get jealous, though. There's a problem when it comes to, like, generals outshining their superiors. Like, I think of, like, there are a few times. I forgot. There was the Parthian general who defeated Crassus, one of the triumvirate members, decimated the Romans, and then he got killed later because, you know, he was too effective as a general. Granted, I don't think Turenne's gonna get murdered by Louis or anything, but like usually when someone outshines their superiors, usually monarchs start to see them as threats or problems. So definitely I'm happy for Turenne, and he is definitely proving himself, as I'm starting to see, as very capable. I'm just hoping that all this newfound appreciation and admiration I don't think it's gonna get to his head. I feel fine with Turenne. I'm more worried about like Louis or others like starting to perceive him as a threat, and that may screw him over. Hopefully not, and that's just a worry that's unfounded on my part.
It is said that Paris has never witnessed a scene like it when he is greeted by a royal retinue of welcome and he travels to the holy houses to give thanks. Turenne, somewhat overwhelmed by the ovation, is nonetheless touched by its warmth. Now in his 60s, he is looking forward to a quiet retirement with the house.
Holy crap, he's old. I mean, that makes sense though. Like I said, he was already a commander during the 30 Years' War, and this is decades removed from the end of that, so... Yeah, he's no spring chicken, but dang, 60? Holy crap, dude.
Of the fathers of the oratory at Paris. But if Turenne hopes for respite in the wake of his victory, his enemies have no such inclination. France celebrates, but across Habsburg Spain, the Holy Roman Empire, and the Netherlands, fresh armies are mustering, munitions are stockpiled, and new commanders are appointed. The new year will bring with it new campaigns, and revenge is foremost in the minds of all. As the spring progresses, the various theatres coalesce into three main arenas. Once more, Conde will lead the main French armies against the Prince of Orange in Flanders. At the same time, Brandenburg, stung by the Turkheim catastrophe, has switched its focus to the menace of Sweden, and the Grand Elector will take his forces to the north and campaign against them. Meanwhile, Emperor Leopold searches for a new champion in which to entrust his army of retribution against France and his archenemy, Louis XIV. He finds it in the person of Raimondo Montecuccoli, the Italian private soldier who has progressed through the ranks since the age of 16 to command imperial armies from the Rhine to the Danube. Montecuccoli's list of actions reads like a roll call of every major battle in recent history.
Okay, so someone well seasoned in battle. Last video, I remember one of the footnotes said that Turenne was in the military at the age of 14 all the way to now 60. So I think his life has been dominated by war, and Raimondo has apparently been in the military since 60. I'm not sure how old he is now, but alright, that just kind of reminded me. Okay, get someone with a lot of experience. And it seems like he's being appointed out of merit. I mean, I don't know if he's like from like some wealthy, prestigious, great royal family or anything, but the way it's coming across, maybe someone more out of merit, which is always a good thing in my opinion.
Breitenfeld, Lutzen, Nordlingen, Wittstock, Chemnitz, Zummerhausen. He has fought both Swede and Turk, been awarded the Golden Fleece, and every honor that the Holy Roman Empire can bestow. 2 years.
Impressive resume.
As previous, he outmaneuvered Turenne and made it to the Low Countries, seizing Bonn in the process. Now he is back, and Louis XIV has no one else to which he can turn in response, with the exception of the hero of the moment. Turenne is brought before the king, entrusted once more with the fate of his nation. In the second week of May, after an all-too-short respite, he departs Paris and makes his way back to the killing fields of Alsace. At about the same time, Montecuccoli is moving at speed through the Black Forest, the Rhine Valley, and eventually sets up base at Willstadt. With his reinforcements added to the remnants of Bournonville's army, he tallies a host of 18,000 infantry and 14,000 mounted troops. Turenne's roll call at Schlettstadt, 12 miles north of Colmar and just under 30 south of Strasbourg, is far fewer, possibly only 20,000 in all. His
Alright, so once again on not having numerical superiority, but as we've seen, numerical superiority is not everything. So all that really matters is skill. And I'm interested in seeing how Raimundo does. I know he's going to lose because this video is literally titled Turenne's Masterpiece in Strategy. It'd kind of be hilarious if he lost. But still, I want to see if his victory is more hard-earned or not. Or if it's going to be a complete stomp, I don't know.
Army is after all the secondary royal concern, for the Netherlands remains Louis's primary focus. And with the introduction of a new stamp tax to pay for these wars, France itself is now subject to riot and revolt. Turenne's own primary concern is the city of Strasbourg, for he knows that Montecuccoli has been in correspondence with its elites, and they are sympathetic to his cause. With this in mind, he moves his army to Achenheim, a mere half-dozen miles from Strasbourg. There he sends a strong enough signal to the city that they can expect no help from the imperial general, whose army is still on the opposite side of the Rhine. Montecuccoli is in fact just across the water, but his forces are not entirely collected, and he cannot make the crossing before Turenne's arrival. Now, having lost the race, he decides on an alternative strategy and marches to Philipsburg, some 50 miles or 80 kilometers north, in a grand show that he will make his crossing there. It is a worthy attempt, but Turenne is aware that the greater part of Montecuccoli's now intact army is still at Kell, awaiting the moment that the French take the bait and abandon Strasbourg to intercept their general.
Alright, I'm happy to see Turenne being that perceptive and not falling for the great ploy right there. Interesting.
Montecuccoli even goes to the effort of crossing the Rhine himself on the last day of May, but still Turenne refuses to jump. And the Italian is forced to embarrassingly withdraw once more and reconnect with his host.
Dang, bad first moves on his part. Again, I think Turenne's just way too experienced. He's seen too much. Dude has fought in so much. His entire life basically has been war. So, yeah, not to say Raimundo isn't experienced too, but I'm getting the experience from the impression just from that Turenne isn't gonna be the kind of guy you can fool.
Still, Turenne menaces his main army like a still bull guard dog. A week after Montecuccoli's crossing of the Rhine, Turenne decides to take the initiative, and he moves to Ottenheim, quickly builds a pontoon, and crosses to take possession of Willstadt.
Dang, moving right into their territory, they made it look easy. Wow. It's good he takes the initiative. You know, he who takes the initiative usually prevails in wars, as we've seen.
Former imperial headquarters. With this move, he has now blocked any crossing Montecuccoli can make at Kell, and from there, threatens Strasbourg. Unperturbed, Montecuccoli marches his own force to Offenburg, and then makes a foray along the Schutter River, seemingly launching an assault on Turenne's pontoon to cut him off on the wrong side of the Rhine. Once more refusing to react to a feint, Turenne keeps his force steady and calmly transfers his bridge further up the river.
Dang, dude. Raimundo's definitely facing... I feel like he's facing a foe that perhaps already, like... I mean, again, I don't know Raimundo's entire history, so I'll probably... I'm only going off by this video from what I'm seeing. He's definitely messing with an adversary that's probably greater than what he's messed with before. Well, No, did he confront Turenne? I remember Turenne actually did suffer a loss during the 30 Years' War series that we watched, but a lot of that loss was because he was numerically outnumbered and not all his forces were united. I forgot what battle it was, but that's the reason he lost. Factors which are understandable. But yeah, I just like the way he keeps calling his bluffs and is not worried about it. He's not taking the bait to the traps.
Montecuccoli has seemingly run short of options, and another week goes by with the two sides in a stalemate. This situation suits the French, for Turenne merely wishes to save his country from invasion and, if the opportunity presents itself, destroy Montecuccoli in battle, just as he did Bournonville. A war of maneuver does not suit Montecuccoli, however, and the campaign
Of course, we've already covered that Turenne is the master of maneuver.
season is ebbing away before his eyes. Worse, his army is running short of supply and forage. He withdraws again to Erloffen and then eventually pitches up at the confluence of the Rheinch and the Rhine, about a day's march from Strasbourg. From here, the plan is to have rations and supplies sent downriver from the city, but Turenne once more claims the edge and seemingly manifests himself at Freistadt. There, he requisitions boats to intercept anything destined for Montecuccoli.
Oh my gosh.
He also occupies several Rhine islands.
Oh my gosh, holy crap. Dang, I haven't seen maneuvering this impressive since Julius Caesar. One of Julius Caesar's greatest victories during the Civil War was when he was in Spain and he defeated several Roman generals without even having to fight a pitched battle. He just defeated them by simple maneuvering and position. And like, I haven't seen any generals so far since that series use maneuvering this effectively. Dang, dude, he literally is playing, he's playing chess, and Raimondo is playing checkers right now, you know? Again, I don't know Raimondo's entire history, so I'm not an expert on the guy. I'm sure he like I said, he's very experienced in battle. I think he's just facing someone too experienced. Almost like an Archduke, what was his name? Archduke Charles versus a Napoleon. You get me? Like, someone really good, but unfortunately has the misfortune of facing someone a little bit above him, you get me? Or like a Vercingetorix versus a Julius Caesar. Again, and I mean that like Vercingetorix and Archduke Charles are both good, really good. It's just they had the misfortune of facing some of the best generals of their era with Caesar and Napoleon. I'm wondering if that's gonna be if that's almost it. But then again, I don't know Raimondo's entire history or all his accomplishments. I'm just getting the impression that he's not an amateur eater, but he has the misfortune of facing Turenne.
Positions artillery emplacements to blast holes in the Imperial ships that attempt to run the gauntlet. By this point, Turenne appears strong to the Imperials, but his army is also running short of food and forage, and the unseasonably wet summer is damaging morale. The Rhine Islands and riverbanks are very damp, and the main army camping area is said by the men to be located in an actual marsh. The combination of summer temperatures with wet, stagnant water leads to a growing spread of illness. There are elements of Turenne's army who begin to dissent at the situation, but the veterans put them in their place and tell them to trust in their general. "He is our father," the French soldiers say. Although Montecuccoli has lost the tactical duel, he now has an advantage over Turenne in that he can be supplied to some extent from across the imperial lands to the east, whereas the French are stranded on the far side of the Rhine.
So that means Turenne is going to have to make a move sooner or later.
Turenne needs to do something to break the impasse, so he elects to move up the Wrench and further isolate Montecuccoli's communications. This would entail crossing the river, and Turenne spends some time considering the means and location by which to make the transfer. Eventually, a local shepherd is found who can point to a ford in the Wrench through a wooded area. Turenne reviews the site, and he sees that the wood and the ford are a mere 500 paces from Montecuccoli's camp, but overlooking it so that the crossing is unseen by the Imperial sentries. Once night comes on the 15th of July, Turenne sends a brigade to cut a path through the wood, and then his men begin construction of a bridge. This takes 3 full days to complete, but the Imperials seemingly remain completely unaware of the action the entire time.
Dang.
Remarkably, it is said that not a shot has been fired in anger by either side since the start of the campaign. Turenne has a redden earthwork built to protect the end of his bridge, as well as increasing the fortifications at his new main camp. Leaving 3 battalions as a holding force in his previous base, and using 2 Irish battalions to guard the wood line from the enemy, Turenne moves his army across in the night once more. Montecuccoli's reaction on discovering this clandestine action is only to be imagined. Now he...
Holy crap, yeah, this dude's like, holy crap, like, I'm wondering if he's feeling in over his head with the rate Turenne has managed to overcome every obstacle and every trap. Again, I'm not trying to diss Raimondo, because obviously I'm ignorant of his career, and I keep wanting to emphasize this, but like, yeah, it's just Turenne is just that good that he's really like running circles around him. Dang, dude.
He is almost completely cut off from Offenburg, his route of retreat should he require a withdrawal, and Altenheim. With French bases at Willstadt, Freistadt, and the new camp by the bridge, Montecuccoli now finds himself driven against the Rhine, all but encircled.
Oh my goodness. Again, he's defeating him through just simple maneuvering.
And makes the decision that he now needs to fight in order to give himself some hope of survival. He decides to follow Turenne in organizing a night action, and on the 23rd he sends 4,000 men on a roundabout mission to attack Turenne's bridge, while at the same time, his main force will attack the French camp on the lower level, and a force from Offenburg will attack it from the rear. Another mobile force under the Duke of Lorraine sets off to make a wide sweep and attack the right wing of the French camp. The main attack...
They're gonna do this all at 9? Again, they're fighting on multiple fronts, definitely, but it goes to show the desperation now. He lost the maneuvering battle, but now comes the actual battle, you know? You know, I had a dream a few nights ago where I was actually a military commander, and it's really funny because you think like in my dreams I would be like amazing and unstoppable, but actually no, I actually did an awful job. So like it's weird. So in my dream I was kind of like in a more medieval-esque setting. Like it's weird, like living in like some forested area, even though I live in California. It's like a desert here, but in my dream I was there and some random enemy army started attacking my homelands. So like I assembled a force of a few thousand, and since it was like more medieval-esque, I didn't have like guns or artillery, so my entire army, as you all know, I love my pike formations. I had an entire army of pikemen and with a bunch of cavalry. So like I decide to like move to confront the enemy after assembling my army, and we were moving a bit slower, like I was numerically outnumbered, right? So I decide that I had to use speed. So in my dream, I kind of drop like the supply baggage train, which, yeah, and point is, I basically do a forced march to quickly catch the enemy unawares. And this is where, you would think I would have attacked them, because I did actually catch up with the enemy and at points kind of had them off wares. But instead of attacking, I was so happy with my speed that I was kind of just maneuvering around them until they could get their crap together and then pursue me. And then I ended up like in a really stupid way leading myself to mountainous terrain where I couldn't easily outmaneuver and outpace them. And then they basically caught me to where I had to commit to a pitched battle, right? And then I'm starting to freak out because again, I had like my pikemen, right? And my plan was, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I need to quickly find suitable terrain so I can form a phalanx. I'm going to form a phalanx, and my plan was my center will be the phalanx, my wings will be supported by my cavalry, and so like I'm thinking that, but I'm looking for terrain so I can quickly implement my strategy, and then I managed to quickly find like a river, around in front of a river. Like the enemy was. It was a really shallow river, not like one you have to build a bridge, you can easily walk past it, but the ground was flat enough for me to form my phalanx, right? So I start moving my pikemen in the center, and I'm having them form, but while I'm doing this, my cavalry loses discipline, and then just charges the enemy army, and quickly gets like, quickly starts engaging without any support, and like they're getting decimated. I'm freaking out because now the enemy's like attacking me. So I quickly managed to form a bit of a phalanx, but I'm not able to get all my troops ready. So they just crash upon them, and so we're all fighting, right? You think I fortunately didn't lose. I won, but I lost. It was a Pyrrhic victory. The kind of victory where even Pyrrhus of Epirus would look at it and be like, holy crap, that's awful. But I technically won, but I lost almost all of my army. I only had like a few thousand. By the end, I was like below the hundreds, to let you know of how decisively I lost. Well, I didn't lose. I won. I drove them off at the cost of my entire force. So like now I need to go and recapture the territories that all my enemy took during the beginning of the war, but I don't have an army. So I started recruiting from my local villages, some of which are raided already, so I can't fully use my manpower. And then I get captured. And then I escape my captivity. But the army that I raised before I was captured, which was once again like 1,000, all dispersed when I got captured. So then I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have an army. I need to recruit, but I just recruited. And then I get bailed out because one of my subordinates manages to go out and do that for me. That I managed to get another army of 1,000. And then I woke up before I could use it. So that was my military career. As you can tell, I think even in my dreams, it was too generous. Because as much as a disaster as that was, I think in real life, I would have done even worse. I think real life, I wouldn't have even won a Pyrrhic victory. So yeah, that was my famous military career, guys. A part of me kind of wants to like do a joke video where I kind of do something like in the same vein as Epic History, Kings and Generals, and HistoryMarche, kind of like this, and I can like basically show how my dream played out, and like it's a really embarrassing, like humiliating thing. I'm so sorry I went off topic. I really wanted to share with that, because I like how even in my mind I'm like, yeah, I'm not built for this. I messed up on many fronts. My career as a general amounted to me having one battle, losing my army, and then getting captured. So yeah.
company embarks for the bridge in the dark, and it is arranged that they will signal the onset of the combined offensive by firing 4 mobile cannons simultaneously. Thus alerted, Montecuccoli will launch the primary action. The Imperial General and
This operation seems like it's going to need a lot of coordination. Not only is this flank going to have to attack, then the back is going to have to attack up north, and then this side is going to have to hit the flank, and then the units of the other commander are going to have to approach from the rear. So something like this is really complicated and seems like it's going to have to require a lot of coordination and everyone to do their parts perfectly. So I guess we'll see if that happens, but I'm getting the feeling that it won't.
his men wait in expectant nervousness as the night ticks on and the air goes colder. Hours pass in this excruciating anticipation. They hear some small arms fire in the distance, but the big guns needed to initiate the offensive remain silent. His advance attack force have faithfully followed their guides up into the high ground and around the wooded area, but incredibly, the company never finds the bridge, although the terrain there is shrouded in a mist, and they return to the main camp where an infuriated Montecuccoli awaits.
Oh, what a disaster. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, this operation's too advanced. There's gonna be mess-ups. And yeah, I'm starting to see it now.
There are some who believe that the guides have been bribed by Turenne, but in any case, the Imperial situation has now become acute. It is made worse when a bedraggled Lorraine later reports back of his own ordeal. Completely unbeknownst to the Imperials, Turenne had been at large in the night, and he had secreted himself near the bridge. Knowing that Montecuccoli planned an action, he set off in the mist to surprise him. The Duke of Lorraine thus watched with some stricken surprise as the French soldiers emerged out of the murk and opened fire on their supposed secret march, the 60-year-old French general in the midst of the action.
Dude, Turenne, he's always one step ahead. Any move, any thing that they try to do, he's already on it. Oh my goodness.
In spite of their consternation, the Imperial troops managed to fire and score a greater number of hits on the enemy, and the fighting continued until the dawn began to break. At that point, Lorraine realized, likely from the French standards, that it was in fact the main French army with whom he was battling, and he made a withdrawal. He left behind 100 of his men killed. These were the small arms shots that Montecuccoli had heard in the night. Turenne had followed Lorraine cautiously and took possession of Garmshurst, east of Freistadt. Thus, the French have now almost completely encircled the Imperial army on one side, while they are hemmed in by the Rhine emplacements on the other. It is a masterpiece of strategic maneuvering from Turenne.
Again, by simply maneuvering, he has completely been wrecking Raimondo.
The morning after, a skirmish between Lorraine and French advance troops convinces Montecuccoli that he needs to withdraw, and he decamps to Bull. Turenne hears of this movement, and he decamps to Aachen. He feels like a chess grandmaster, just a few short moves from checkmate.
The dude is a chess master, holy crap. Like, he's owning them so hard.
Montecuccoli seems to be unaware of Turenne's progressions, for when he arrives after another march to Salzbach and is pleased to link up with his troops from Offenburg, only then does he realize that Turenne is already at Aachen. This puts the French just a mile away, They would be visible to the Imperials if the weather was seasonably clear rather than damp and overcast. It is a frustrating situation, but Montecuccoli feels that Salzbach offers a relatively defensible redoubt, which he fortifies further by occupying the church and the ditch that surrounds it. This gives him an excellent firing line onto the valley path leading up to the town. But Turenne is not so easily rebuffed. The next day, the 27th, he heads out on horseback once more to survey the landscape and enemy positions. His survey of Montecuccoli's emplacements around the church are not encouraging. The barricades and the ditch, as well as the building itself, render the position unassailable. So Turenne rides on to examine the Imperial flanks. Finding a rise over Montecuccoli's right, he looks down and sees that it is another warren of ditches and added Imperial trenches, as well as streams and wooded areas. Turenne takes the disappointment in stride and rides around to the Imperial left, and it is there that he finds what he has been looking for. Montecuccoli has completely failed to fortify the ground on his left flank, and more gratifying still, Turenne locates a narrow pass or defile around this side that will lead his forces directly into the valley, where lie the greatest concentration of the Imperials.
My goodness.
It is done, he reports to his commanders after arriving back from his scouting mission. I have them. They cannot escape me. I shall now reap the fruit of this fatiguing campaign.
My goodness, he's already won. Again, the way he realizes positioning the terrain and just... My goodness, he really is too good.
So confident is Turenne that he writes to King Louis and shares the news that he will shortly vanquish his enemy, sending a messenger with the note that he will write again after his victory. After issuing orders to send an advance party north into the defile, Turenne then unhurriedly has his lunch, dismounted under a tree, the weather for once allowing some moments of repose. So that Montecuccoli does not become suspicious of a lack of activity from the main French host, a front line of infantry and a reserve of cavalry line up before the Imperial positions at the church and its surrounding environs, on a wide line. These companies are augmented by artillery pieces, and a perfunctory fusillade begins from the French. Basking in the warmth as he finishes his food, the crack of the first shots of the day reach Turenne. Fully 50,000 men will be engaged between both sides, and Turenne is positive that with his forces positioned as they are, Montecuccoli has no opportunity to slip away. He will either surrender his host or be destroyed. Standing and dusting himself off, Turenne...
You know, if you really think about it, this entire plan on the side can really be chalked up to the flank, the oldest trick in the book, to quickly jump and hit them from the side.
Remounts and informs his staff that he is going to view the action, as he may need to make adjustments to his formations as the day wears on. He tells these men to stay behind, as he does not wish for the enemy to have an easy time spotting him. His nephew, the Vicomte de Lorge, is among those he tells to wait. Turenne rides on with just the Irish-born Duke of Hamilton. The Imperials have begun firing back at the French in the main line, and at about the same moment that Turenne is ascending a small rise near his own artillery from which to view the battle, the Imperials realize that the force in the defile is in the process of completing a flanking attack.
Dang.
Turenne and Hamilton crest the rise by the cannon, and the exchange of fire across the battlefield increases exponentially, as Montecuccoli realizes the danger in which he finds himself. Musket fire crackles like dry wood thrown onto a bonfire as the Imperials fight to stop the incursion from the defile. The artillery duel is in full flight, cannons blazing all around, and Turenne calls forth his chief of artillery, Armand de Saint-Hilaire, and has him reposition some cannon onto another rise nearby. Saint-Hilaire rides with his young son in tow, and he wears a splendid red cape. Turenne knows that Saint-Hilaire also possesses good eyes, and has him ride forward somewhat to clarify a number of enemy positions for him. While he is gone, Hamilton urges Turenne to move back, for he is in a place of danger, Imperial rounds exploding and bouncing off the ground close by. "I will do as you say," Turenne says, "for I do not want to die today." After he moves back a stretch, Saint-Hilaire rides back up to him, and the artillery commander points with his hat and arm outstretched, asking if his commander is satisfied with the new displacement of the weapons. As Saint-Hilaire speaks, Turenne follows the line of his hand, and at the moment he is about to reply, the artilleryman's entire limb explodes in an eruption of blood, bone, and flesh.
Wait, calm down. Okay, everybody calm down. Wait, Turenne got hit? Oh my, no, wait, no.
As Saint-Hilaire speaks, Turenne follows the line of his hand, and at the moment he is about to reply, the artilleryman's entire limb explodes in an eruption of blood, bone, and flesh.
No way. No way, this is how he dies. Holy crap, no. I thought he moved to safer ground. What? Oh my gosh. Wait, I need to watch this.
The men in the vicinity are thunderstruck at the injury, Saint-Hilaire's distraught son rushing to aid his stricken father. It is a second later that the group realize Turenne is tottering. He moves forward once, then again, but falls before taking another step. Hands rush to grasp him. He has been struck in the midsection by the same cannonball as Saint-Hilaire and is grieved.
Oh! Okay, so that thing blew off the other dude's arm and then went and hit him in the... Oh no! Oh my gosh. I knew things were going too smoothly. Every time we watch these videos, when a commander is overconfident and they're doing well and they're relaxed and they're like, we've done it, we've won, something bad always happens to them. Remember Mercy during the 30 Years' War? This is the exact same situation. What was it? The Battle of Nordingly? I forgot which battle that Mercy fought Condé, but when Mercy had Condé on the back ropes, he destroyed the French center, and he was all like, haha, I have them. This is finally my moment to win. And then a random cannon hits Mercy, and Condé kills him. Like, legit, the exact same thing just happened to Turenne right now. Literally a repeat. He's like, I have won, and he's just chilling, and then a random cannon hits him. I can't believe this.
Wounded. I do not want to die today, he tells those around him. There is further chaos on the other side.
Oh, that's so sad. I thought like he was safe for sure. Oh man. That sucks so hard. That sucks, dude.
Side of the line. There, Montecuccoli is also leading from the front, while his men mount their defense against the French attack. And as he is riding along,
the 17th century is so underrated. Between this and the 30 Years' War, the amounts of things that have shocked me and caught me off guard, this era needs more coverage from history YouTubers, because there's just too much that has happened.
Along the line, rallying them to fight, a cannonball shoots his horse out from under him.
Hello, I'm Bob Kitchen. I'm the IRC's.
Montecuccoli miraculously survives the shot and stays in the line, awaiting what he presumes will be a storm of French infantry and cavalry coming in from his left flank, while the front keeps his companies in the center and right occupied. On the French side, the rank and file continue to fire and follow their strategic directives, but in the general's headquarters, there is confusion. Turenne's nephew Lorge assumes command, but this is disputed by other officers, most notably the Marquis de Vaubran, officially the next officer to Turenne in seniority. The men's bickering is overshadowed by the grief that is now uncontrollably spreading through the ranks, from the rear echelons right up to the front lines. As Saint-Hilaire and his shattered limb are being tended to, his son breaks down in tears. The father upbraids the boy, saying, "Hold your peace, my child," and indicating Turenne's covered form. There is something for which the whole world should weep, and weep forever. On the Imperial side, Montecuccoli has begun to wonder why the French offensive.
Oh my goodness. This is a complete disaster. I knew something bad was gonna happen. I just didn't expect Turenne to die. Everything was going too smoothly. Every time these history YouTubers make everything look like it's going according to plan, something has to happen. Nothing can just happen normally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, now that, I mean, the soldiers are following Turenne's overall idea, but now there's no room for, like, fixing. So it seems like if something goes wrong, no one's gonna have a quick response as they would with under Turenne. I can't believe Conde outlived everybody. That's the part that always gets me. I can't believe Conde outlived everybody. I'm telling you, Conde had plot armor in this era. I think he was like God's favorite character he was writing. When God was writing this plot, but and I don't mean that like in a bad way. I like Conde. It's just like Conde, I feel like, put himself in more deadly situations than Turenne, and he outlived him. And I heard had a natural death, so that's the part that gets me. Okay, Raimundo has an opportunity to actually, like, I mean, granted, he doesn't know Turenne's dead, but he has an opportunity now. If he makes a move and, like, goes against whatever Turenne was planning, he could maybe pull off. I mean, granted, I don't know, but, like, this is a real golden opportunity for him that obviously he's not aware of, but we are aware of.
Offensive has not begun in earnest, and all of Turenne's attacks now appear to have tapered. Word reaches him from a French deserter of Turenne's fate, so nearly shared.
Holy crap, so Turenne dies and a random French guy just deserts because he just... Oh, that's bad. I was like, he's not aware of the advantage he has, but now he is. Oh no.
By himself, and the Italian takes a moment to grieve his worthy adversary. His words echo that.
You think a bit of him's happy? Don't get me wrong, I do believe this is out of pure respect. But a part of him must be like, oh, thank God. You know? Oh, thank God, that dude was, like, wrecking me right now. Like, just a little part of him must be a little relieved, right? I mean, I obviously would grieve, too. I am grieving right now. But, like, if I was in Raimundo's position, I'd also, a bit of me kind of be super ecstatic that Turenne is gone. So, just so, for my own benefit, you know?
That of Turenne's own men. Today died a man who did honor to mankind. The French rank and file are despondent, and the lines begin to waver and then pull back. Their withdrawal is orderly, and the Imperials do not leave their still safe bastions to make a pursuit. There are many who wish to be led on the attack Turenne envisaged, to avenge him and vanquish the enemy. but the squabbling between Lorge and Vauban means that there is no one to lead them. At one point, the veterans call.
And just like that, the entire army is crippled from his death. Wow, and they're robbed of what could have been a great decisive victory.
For the attendants to loose Turenne's horse toward the enemy and let him lead them. But the day ends with no action, and any lingering fury in the French resolves itself into grief. Soon they will be joined by the entire Gallic nation and the court of the Sun King. But for the moment, Montecuccoli remains in place, knowing that his enemy has lost their tallyman. Will he attack and destroy the French in their moment of weakness, or will Louis and his ministers manage to settle the differences between Turenne's commanders, or appoint a new general in time? From assured victory after another masterful campaign by its titanic general, France is once again in mortal peril from its aggressors across the Rhine. If you like what you see, consider supporting my work on Patreon.
Turenne is remembered as one of France's greatest military commanders and a master of strategic maneuver. He transformed warfare by emphasizing mobility, logistics, and precision over brute force. Renowned for his humility, discipline, and adaptability, Turenne embodied the rise of the professional soldier in the service of the state. His victories in Germany and Flanders secured France's power in Europe, which his conversion to Catholicism symbolized loyalty to the crown. Admired by Napoleon and enshrined in the Pantheon, Turenne's legacy endures as the model of the ideal French general. Turenne's death was a devastating loss for the French during the Franco-Dutch War. His death shattered French morale, halted their offensive in Germany, and allowed imperial forces to regain ground. Strategically, it underscored Turenne's unique leadership and left France briefly vulnerable. Dang. Dang, dude, I don't even know what to say. That was just sad at the end. Like, no vengeance, nothing. It just everything died down. Like, the morale shattered into depression. Well, I did not expect him to die like that. But I maybe should have. I did hear about Condé. Someone in the comments said Condé is the only one who lived to have, like, a natural death. So I maybe should have remembered that sooner and then kind of anticipated Turenne dying in the battlefield. But I actually didn't expect that. I thought maybe he might have had a natural death, but I was fooled. I remember that comment way too late. It's just he was so dominating, and I almost didn't expect him to actually go out like that. Wow, rip Turenne, man. Turenne.